I'm going to ask the clerk to take the roll.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure what kind of sign-up sheet we've got. We've got 13 bills, and we only have, well, sign-up sheet doesn't matter. What I was going to say is sign-up sheet doesn't matter. We have 13 bills. We've got one figured out. We're going to take that first. Then we're going to take up 8 bills that got out of the House unanimously. We're going to take those up next. Then we've got 4 bills after that. Where there was a division in the House, we're going to take those up last. The first one is Delegate Sewell, 736. The last time we met, this bill came up and it failed to report. And the resolution we've kind of figured out is to turn this into a study. We're going to ask the Attorney General's Department of Consumer Affairs to convene a work group that includes Senator Reeves and Delegate Sewell and some other representatives of the appropriate committees to try to galvanize around this issue. We're going to turn it into a Section 1 study group bill and concept, if that's acceptable to the committee. Okay, got a motion and a second to report. Or to adopt a substitute. Okay, I apologize. Okay, all in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Second.
Got a motion to report in a second. Unless there's another motion, we'll open the roll, please.
Somewhere else. Somewhere else. Ayes 11, no 0.
Ayes 11, no 0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Okay, one down, 12 to go. The next one is, the first one on that list is Delegate Helmer, 275. Delegate Helmer is 275, and all of these are bills we've not seen before. So if you just want to tell us about your bill, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. HB 275 is fairly straightforward. What it does is provides for a proceeding at the SEC to establish a standard mechanism to allow those who are facing serious health crises and their families to get delays in paying their utility bills. We have consent. Everybody from all of the utilities is here to testify if we want to, but there is broad consensus on this.
Okay, didn't Senator Aird have a bill somewhat like this?
Yes, different.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Senator Aird's bill had a companion from Delegate Shin, went more towards emergency situations. This has to do with serious medical conditions.
Okay, with medical conditions. The note I've got here is that the timeline might be tight. It might be more helpful if the deadline was July 1 of next year instead of January 1. Would you have a problem with that?
Mr. Chair, that'd be totally fine.
Okay, if we adopted, okay, got that amendment, got a second on that? That changes the date from July 1, 2025, or changes the date to July 1 from January 1, 2025. All in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, anything else about the bill?
No, Mr. Chair, I think that's it. Like I said, there's Dominion and the co-ops and gas are all here to testify if you want them to, but they also said they don't feel the need to.
They're all in favor of what
They're
you're trying to do? Okay, are there any questions from the members? Anybody that feels compelled to speak to this bill, either for or against? Okay, what motion to report? Is there a second? Okay, unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Okay.
Ayes 12, no 0.
Ayes 12, no 0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
2 down, 11 to go. Delegate Weber is next. Delegate House Bill 714. See here? Yes.
Yes, sir. House Bill 714 is basically the exact same bill that I passed last year, went to the governor. Unfortunately, it was vetoed. We did, in all disclosure, had a project that Senator Surville also amended onto the bill, but it's the exact same bill last year. We add the Warrenton project to the pilot program.
You and Jill Vogel had the bill, and
Yes,
then
sir.
Suravel got you screwed. He screwed you up, right? Yeah. Add his project.
I'm not
to
going
the
to
bill.
confirm nor deny.
Okay. Is there anybody that feels compelled to speak on this bill? Okay. Motion to report. Is there a second? Okay. Motion and a second to report. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Ayes 12, no zero.
Okay. 3 down. Delegate Wilt,
you, Mr. Chair.
1019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Tell us about this bill. Passed the House 99 to nothing.
Correct. Mr. Chairman, basically it allows elected officials or non-benefited employees of a locality to participate in a group health plan for the locality if the locality permits them to do so, and they fully reimburse the cost of the plan of their share of it. Or there was an amendment that was suggested that got done going through the House process that would allow part of their salary to be deferred to go to their expenses. So
Okay,
that's-
this benefits non-benefited employees that can join at their own expense. That's what you're doing? Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? Is there anybody that feels compelled to speak on this bill, either for or against? Okay, what's your pleasure with the bill? Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Ayes 12, no zero.
Okay. Now, with 5 down, Delegate, or 4 down, Delegate Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee
1215.
members.
Thank you, sir. Delegate Higgins, 1215. Please turn your attention to Delegate Higgins, who's making his inaugural visit to our committee, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. HB 1215 is a cleanup bill and is an important worker safety fix. The bill allows the Department of Labor and Industry to use currently unused funds acquired through asbestos remediation permitting fees to test the air quality to ensure the asbestos remediation was successful and that there's not any asbestos in the air. Currently, Dole collects about $210,000 a year in these permit fees. These fees are held in a non-revertible special fund. Dole will use between $60,000 and $80,000 of these funds for asbestos NESHAP compliance, and without this bill, these funds will otherwise go unused.
Yeah, yes, sir. This is an agency bill, isn't it? It's a Dole bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there people that feel compelled to speak about this issue, either for or against? Okay, what are the views of the members of the committee? Motion to report. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Ayes 13, no zero.
5 down. Delegate Mild. Have I pronounced that right? Mild? Milday. Okay.
Good afternoon, Senator.
Okay, it passed
Chairman.
1257. It passed the House 99-0.
Let me quickly tell you a little bit about it. This bill just provides insurance companies offering repair and replace policies on personal property items that you have listed, for instance, on your homeowner's insurance policy, usually things you specifically told them to cover. It makes sure that they will use a repair, give you an option to use a repair person that will bring it back up to the value that it had before it was damaged, or in other words, cover the diminution in value. And it's supported by some local insurance.
Okay,
folks.
does everybody understand what this bill does? Are there people in the audience that feel compelled to speak about this bill? Okay, what are the views of the members of the committee? Is there a second? Motion and a second to report the bill. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Delegate Milday, your inaugural visit to this committee as well. Welcome. Thank you.
Ayes 11, no zero, one abstention, two abstentions.
Okay, Delegate Hayes has 1286, and it passed the House 99-0. I'm not sure who that one person that was absent that day was. 1286 is a big bill. It's a recodification of the commercial code, And the suggestion here was that we delay the effective date of this. It's such a big bill. Delay the effective date a year so we could put it in the code and give people a chance to, lawyers a chance to figure it out. So I think that, and you understand that amendment?
Yes,
The
sir.
amendment would be to make it effective July 1 of 2026.
Yes, sir, we consider
Yes,
that
and
a friendly
that amendment's been made and seconded? 2025, I apologize, yeah. 2025. Okay, that amendment's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, it's a recodification of the commercial code. Well, and this is part of the Uniform Act. Do you want to just explain a little bit about what it does, why it needs to be recodified?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, with the new advent of all kinds of new digital currency, it's a result of many years of hard work by the Uniform Law Commission and American Law Institute. The bill is an update to the Uniform Commercial Code, and the UCC has been adopted in every state, and it provides commercial law rules for broad categories of transactions. The UCC was developed well, I don't have to go through that, but as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, there were updates made back in 2022, and the amendments bring the UCC into the digital age by providing commercial law rules for a new category of transactions. For instance, the transfer and leveraging of virtual currencies and certain other digital assets. The bill deals with a category of digital assets referred to as controllable electronic records, or CERs. Some of the examples of CERs are of virtual currencies, non-fungible tokens, and electronic promises to pay. The amendments provide rules to determine the rights of the amendments to the UCC code provide rules to determine the rights of persons who receive CERs and for the perfection of priority of the security interests in the CER.
As I understand it, the sum of these amendments is that it reflects the changes that have occurred in the digital economy.
Yes, sir.
It brings that into the state corporate or into the Uniform Commercial Code.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience who feels compelled to speak about this?
Mr. Chairman, Chris Nolan, one of the Virginia commissioners, not compelled to speak, but happy to answer any questions. Was my worst subject in law school was Uniform Commercial Code. So I can give you the first order answer, but not the second and third order answer.
And you're speaking now not as a lobbyist, but as a member of the Uniform Law.
Correct. I and 8 other Virginians are appointed by the governor, David Halleck, E.M. Miller, Pat Devine, Ellen Dyke, and Tom Edmonds are your Virginia commissioners to the Uniform Law Commission. This was developed in 2019, started in 2019, was finalized in 2022 with over 350 observers. I believe there were 15 drafting committee meetings, a lot of public input with regard to this. It is currently pending in 13 states. It's been adopted in 15. Typically, it takes about 4 years for amendments to the Uniform Commercial Code to be fully adopted across the U.S. So, and it is the most widely adopted Uniform Act of the Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Eric, you're the lobbyist.
Mr. Chair, real quickly, Eric Link on behalf of the Virginia Bar Association. We support the bill as amended.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, what are the views? Is there anybody else that wants to speak in opposition? What are the views of the committee, please? Motion to report, is there a second? Second. Okay, unless there are alternative motions, please open the roll.
Senator Babbitt. Ayes 14, no zero.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Next is Delegate Reed. He's got House Bill 1376 that got out 100 to nothing.
So, Mr. Chair, whoever was missing that day came back.
Whoever was missing came back.
So House Bill 1376 would initiate a process for the SEC to begin a review of their current rules. This is something that we've worked on closely with SEC to make sure that we're doing the right thing. This is an issue that initially was brought to us by a constituent who has a location at a commercial facility, and after getting several very, very high utility bills, asked for a detailed, very specific bill for their particular unit, and was told that it was not necessary for them to be able to provide one. And after discussions with SEC as well as the constituent, found out that there is a issue with the current rules, and this would initiate a rulemaking process within SEC where an individual who has a commercial property that is being sub-metered and managed by a larger organization would then be able to get specific utility information and the cost of their utility bill.
The operable part of this code section or this bill is in section D. It's on 47 through 49. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does everybody understand the bill, or are there people in the audience who feel compelled to speak on this bill? What are the views of the committee? Okay, is there a second? Okay, unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Ayes 14-0.
Mr. Chair, members,
Thank you so much. Delegate Jones, you're next, and you're the last of the unanimous votes, but you're back to 99-0, so that one person was just
beginner's luck.
Skipping
Mr.
out on
Chair. Beginner's luck. Members of the committee, this bill simply, HB 1392, simply streamlines language allowing localities the ability to offer insurance policies that can include spouses, children, and other mutually agreed upon classes of persons.
Okay. Are there people in the audience? Do you think you understand this bill? Are there people in the audience that feel compelled to speak about this bill? What are the views of the committee? Got a motion to report in a second. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Okay, I think this was your inaugural trip here too. Is that right?
Yes, it is, Mr.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Ayes 14-0.
Okay, Delegate Coiner, you've got the first of the contested bills, and it's 474. And this was a bill that got out of the House 64 to 35.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 474 is actually an oldie but goodie of a bill. It actually, this bill is in regards to individuals who have medical conditions such as Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, or others that require emergency access to restrooms. We have very narrowly tailored this bill so that it only applies to specific medical conditions. We've limited it where only medical professionals are able to issue evidence that you have one of these medical conditions. We've included conditions for retail establishments that they have to have multiple employees actually on site. So this bill is to allow individuals, if they're out and an establishment does not have a public restroom, to use an employee facility under certain conditions if it is possible. So that's what the bill does. This bill actually is an old bill. It was first brought about in 2016. Senator Marsden carried it. This bill came out of the Senate favorably and made it over to the House, which is where it met its fate. Delegate Hope carried it back then as well. I didn't know that at the time when I filed the bill, but I found out as I journeyed through this process that was where it initially started. I will say since they began that journey in 2016, 20 other states have gone ahead of us and passed emergency restroom laws. Ours is actually more narrowly tailored than any of those other states. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Just, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Marsden.
Thank you. I think Delegate Coiner has improved on the original by having doctors be able to issue this directly. I think the bill I used had it to go through some government agency to have to do it, which was a burden. And I think this is a streamlined version. It's an excellent idea, and I move to report.
Second. And let me hold that until we hear. Is there anybody in the audience that feels compelled to speak on this bill? Senator Obenshain's having some fun with this bill. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Ayes 9, noes 3, abstentions 2.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Sullivan, I didn't see you sitting there. Delegate Sullivan, 109. It passed the House 5149. So this was.
I think it was 55-44, but it was.
Okay.
I think it was bipartisan. But in any event, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is HB 109. You know, if you stopped 100 people walking down Broad Street and asked them what PJM was, you'd be lucky if 2 of them knew. Frankly, a lot of legislators don't know, but As this committee surely knows, PJM is an enormously important organization to our everyday lives and our energy future. It manages the electric grid of 13 states and the District of Columbia, including issues having to do with grid reliability, maintaining the transmission system, and preparing for new renewable energy sources. It's the largest RTO in the country and serves 65 million people. HB 109 is simply a transparency bill, Mr. Chairman. Our electric utilities are members of PJM, and the bill simply requires them to report annually to the SCC on the recorded votes that they and their affiliates have taken.
Let me ask you, PJM affects how many states?
I think the answer to that is 13, and the District
How many
of Columbia.
states have this requirement on their utilities? And these utilities aren't the only members in the state.
They are not.
PJM.
They are not. I can tell you, I do know that there are at least 5 states considering doing this.
Okay, but nobody's done this yet.
As far as I know, the answer to that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
But knowing as I do that Virginia is a leader and a trailblazing state, I have brought HB 109. The committee and subcommittee structure at PJM is a lot like our own. They call their subcommittees lower level committees, and they serve as gatekeepers for what bubbles up to ultimately go to the big committees. The numbers are, as you might expect. Dominion, for instance, has 1 vote at the upper level committee, but controls 11 affiliate votes at the lower level. The consumer advocates only have 42 votes at the lower level out of something like 150.
For this to apply to everybody that's a member of PJM, it would have to come from Congress or FERC, wouldn't it?
I've not been made aware of any federal issue associated with this bill.
But I'm not really certain about putting Virginia utilities putting them in a different position than anybody else.
Well, that question has been asked. I've encountered that, Mr. Chair. This is directed at our utilities, they're the ones who own and operate our grid, and they're the ones who are subject to our pretty extensive regulatory structure in exchange, of course, for their monopoly status here in Virginia. It's our utilities who are charged with protecting the public interest, and all this bill does is ask them to tell us their votes and why they were in the public interest. The claim that if the utilities should do it, everyone else should do it, is not a reason to not, I would suggest, is not a reason to not adopt 109. There is very little transparency about what goes on. There are public meetings. But it reminds me a little bit of where this body was several years ago when we didn't, subcommittees were not recorded, they were not filmed, so no one had any idea what happened at the subcommittee level, what did and didn't get out, and who took what positions. So this is not a big ask, Mr. Chair. A report at the end of each year about the recorded votes they took and how they meet the public interest is not a big administrative burden.
I think we get it, okay? Or I get it anyway. There might be questions from the committee. Are there questions from the committee? Is there anyone from the audience who feels a need to speak on this bill?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator McDougal.
I'm having a hard time with why we're going to put people that operate in Virginia differently. Why would we not make, according to what I think PJM brought to us, there over 1,000 members in PJM, and if I'm looking at this, hundreds of them voted these meetings. Why wouldn't everybody who's doing business in Virginia not be subject to the same transparency?
I'm not saying they couldn't be. Mr. Chairman, thank you, Senator McDougal, for the question. I'm not saying they couldn't be. This bill is directed at the utilities whom we have given certain privileges and obligations to, as opposed to other private sector entities that might be operating in Virginia. It's our utilities that are charged with protecting the public interest. This is simply a bill that will give the SCC, the General Assembly, and any members of the public who are interested an ability to visibility into how our utilities, our monopoly utilities, are voting and why they voted and why their positions, in their view, was in the public interest. It's two different. It's two different things. I'm not opposed if someone wants to come back and suggest something broader, but this bill is designed specifically to be directed just at those utilities whom we regulate.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak at the appropriate time.
Now might be the appropriate time. Okay. Well, if they're What would you be, Senator or Delegate Sullivan, what if we amended this bill to say it could be effective when the other states have required the same thing of their utilities?
I'm sorry, effective when the other states?
When the other states.
Senator, I can't control what the committee does. If that's an amendment you're interested in, you'll do what you want to do. I made the decision not to bring that particular bill. Okay. If you're suggesting to me I try to do that. I'm not sure we have the jurisdiction. Remember, this is not a directive at PJM. This is a directive at entities who are our utilities operating here in Virginia. I'm not sure this General Assembly can tell entities who are in Illinois and Pennsylvania what to do or not.
Delegate Sullivan, I don't think we can either, but I just don't, I'm worried about some of the same things that Senator McDougal was talking about. Are there people that want to speak on this bill? Are you for or against? Okay. 2 minutes, okay?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Josephus Allman with the Southern Environmental Law Center. Thank Delegate Sullivan for bringing the bill. I think it's important that when our incumbent electric utilities are making decisions that affect grid planning and our clean energy transition, that we should be able to know how they're voting on those issues and how they're influencing those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Are there others that want to speak about this? Okay. Mr. Murray, are you for or against? Okay. Reset it at 2 minutes and let the opposition go.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Murray, speaking on behalf of Dominion Energy, I would respectfully take issue with one thing Delegate Sullivan said. There are other entities in Virginia licensed as competitive service providers to do business in Virginia, and we would respectfully suggest, as it consists of committee discussion, that this bill should cover everyone. Turning to lines 175 to 176, there's a very broad definition. The patron used, Delegate Sullivan used the analogy of subcommittee votes. Final or non-final votes, regardless of whether the vote represents the final position of the entity making such a vote. So we would suggest that there should be some kind of de minimis threshold. Sometimes minutes are just minutes, and an agenda is just an agenda. And that turns to our third concern about the bill. The bill concludes we've got to indicate why it's in the public interest. So one of our affiliates who belongs to PJM is Dominion Energy South Carolina. South Carolina is not a member of PJM, but for business reasons, our South Carolina affiliate does belong to some PJM committees. In reporting on a vote by Dominion Energy South Carolina, my question would be, whose public interest? They're a public utility in South Carolina. So is it in the public interest of citizens of Virginia, where the bill is brought, of citizens of South Carolina, citizens of the 13 states that make up PJM? The final point I'll make, Mr. Chairman, I understand the analogy of subcommittees. The legislature is the government. Subcommittees, the House of Delegates or Senate, are constituent parts of the government. PJM is not the government. FERC is the government. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission oversees PJM and all the RTOs and ultimately makes decisions. For those reasons, we would respectfully oppose the bill as written.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Come on up, hustle. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. John Morris from Appalachian Power. We appreciate transparency, which is at the heart of this bill, but Appalachian Power opposes it for the reasons mentioned. It should apply to all members voting in the PJM process, not just the incumbent utilities.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Just come on up and tell us who you are and that you represent the co-ops and that you're opposed for the same reason.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Stephanie Kane with Old Dominion Electric Cooperative. We do respectfully oppose the bill, and we appreciate the patron's goal and that he brought a bill that is within his jurisdiction, but we do think it's far too narrow, and so we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator McDougal, I think you wanted to say something.
Mr. Chairman, I think you might have said some of the things that I wanted to say, but I just think that there are other entities doing business in Virginia that affect the grid and affect all of the ratepayers, including people that are generating power behind their business wall that are attaching to the grid. And if they're members of PJM or they're speaking and they're regulated by Virginia, we should be treating them all the same as we do everybody else.
Okay, thank you. Are there others on the committee that want to be heard? Senator Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is an idea that could be very beneficial at some point in time. I think until we see a little bit more about what's going on with other states, I think it'd be a good idea to carry this over for the year, and we'll take a look at it and see what direction the rest of the country is going in, and move on this next year with a little more information. So that's a motion to carry over.
Motion and a second to carry over unless there are other, I'm sorry, Delegate Sullivan, do you want the last word?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can see where this is going. Those of you who know me know I'm persistent. I'll appreciate the opportunity to come back next year and try to convince you again.
Thank you very much. Okay, unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Thank you, Delegate.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
members
we've
of the
got two bills left. Delegate Tran, you're next to last. Okay, come on up. Delegate Watt, you're last. I apologize. Delegate Tran, come on up.
All right.
1060.
Good
Passed
afternoon.
59 to 39.
I have House Bill 1060. I have an amendment, a small amendment that I'd like to introduce.
Okay, please tell us, does staff have the amendment?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Delegate Tran, on line 33, after approved, strike the and insert any, so that would read, if the commission approves any proposed rate increase.
Okay, I'm sorry, and I was distracted for a second. If you could tell me that again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, on line 33 of the bill, it reads, if the commission approves the proposed rate increase, the amendment would be to strike the and insert any, so it would read, if the commission approves any proposed rate increase.
If the commission denies or the
If the commission
Approves.
approves any rate
okay,
increase.
approves any, okay.
And I can explain,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, when you're ready.
Please explain that.
Yeah, so so let me give you what the underlying bill does and then what the amendment does. So the underlying bill ensures that long-term care insurance policyholders have access to an awareness of potential rate increases, when those increases will be implemented, and that their concerns are considered by the SEC for all the rate increase proposals. The amendment is that the policyholders notified of any rate increase, because sometimes the SEC approves a portion of the increase ask and not its entire totality. So it clarifies when the notice has to be provided.
Okay, so well, first, is there a motion on the amendment? Second? Okay, well, all in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Okay, the bill's amended, and before you, does everybody understand the bill, or do you have questions of the patron? Are there people in the audience that feel compelled to speak on this bill? Are you for or against, Mr. Calfee?
Mr. Chairman, Jared Calvier, ARP Virginia, we support the bill, and the patron did an excellent job of explaining it, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Motion and a second to report. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you,
14
ma'am.
to 0.
Thank you.
Delegate Watt, saving the best for last, right?
You would think, sir.
It got out of the House 50 to 48.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. This bill, I'm going to take you back a year prior. In 2023 session, the Port of Virginia came to the General Assembly and asked to convert their tax credit system for investments in grant-based system to a post-grant-based system. Senator Barker carried it, passed unanimous in 2023, and I carried it on the House side and passed 96-2. This is just a technical amendment to convert that new grant-based system to allow the port to have the same authority, because these are grant-based systems, post-grant-based systems, that they have to create certain jobs at certain salaries. They have no way, the Port of Virginia has no way to verify all the jobs that are created. So this gives them the same authority as the Virginia Economic Development Partnership by confirming employer records through the Virginia Employment Commission to ensure the performance agreements associated with any grant request has been met. This grant-based incentive program will go in effect January 1, 2025. The reason for the vote, Mr. Chairman, it got up, the climate that day in the House got That's why the vote was as close as it was, but
Committee?
no, sir. And the folks in the port, and I don't know if I have those votes here. Unanimous in committee, thank you. And the folks from the Port of Virginia are here if you have any questions.
Okay, are there people that feel compelled to speak on this bill? Are there questions from the committee? Does anybody have, well, what are the views of the members?
Move to report.
Okay, get motion and a second to report the bill. Unless there are other motions, please open the roll.
Thank you, sir.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
I want to thank all the members of the committee. It's a pretty good finish.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.